start the show. Everybody, welcome back to Power 97.5 LA, iHeartRadio, iGlobal Media. I love Jen for so many reasons right now because she asked me a question that a lot of people don't ask. And I think so many people see me in the field and doing all of the things, but my heart is good. I want to start with you, madam, ma'am, and all of the things. Listen, before we get started, first off, today's conversation really does sit at the intersection of purpose, power, and storytelling. In a world where algorithms shape perception and trust is currency, the companies that are winning aren't just producing products, they're producing meaning. And immediately when I thought about this person and the team reached out, I was like, heck yeah, need this woman on the call. And honestly, when you do talk about meaning and you talk about impact and messaging with intent, immediately my mind goes to Jennifer Risi. And she is a force in the PR world. Founder and president of the Sway Effect, one of the industry's most respected woman-owned agencies. She is a pioneer, and I highlight that word so profusely because she is a pioneer who built her career putting authenticity and humanity at the center of brand storytelling long before it became a trend. Today, I'm so excited because we're going to dive into the future of PR, the shifting of demands of brands, why. The why is always important. I always say everyone lately, what is your why? What is your purpose? And always how she is continuously outperforming performative gestures. Everyone, put your hands in your ears and all the things together for Jennifer Risi's in the building.
You could be my hype man. This is awesome.
You know what I'm saying? I realized after 300 and now 14 shows, I do very well doing introductions. I'm like, I need to be an intro man. I am good. I want to start this show with a question that I have been asking a lot of people most recently.
Yeah.
Jennifer, how is your heart and how has 2025 been for you?
Whew. There's lots of ups and downs. I mean, honestly, it's been a lot of change. Some good, some not so good.
Yeah.
It's the world has never been more complicated.
Mhm.
It's I'm stuttering. It's been hard. However, on a positive note, we have had the opportunity to work with, some great brands, tell some great stories. I'll be honest, I'm a little tired. I'm really excited for the holiday.
Me too.
To ask how my heart is, my heart is full, but I'm a little tired.
Yeah.
And I'm ready for the year to be over and to come back fresh and hopefully sun glow.
I said the same thing. I'm like, Jen, I need a beach number. I need a beach moment, a little moment away. And I was having conversations the other day on a couple of red carpets, and I was talking to just media teams. I said, how is everyone? And everyone was like, Jameer, we're tired. I said, me too. Let's take a nap. Sometimes you get older, you just need like a 30-minute nap. Um,
Preach.
yeah. Before we get into the future of PR, I would like to hear what fuels you, right? What is your get up and go? What is your get up and go? And what kind of keeps you anchored in the work after decades at the highest level?
I mean, I love what I do. I think that, what's interesting is I didn't know this field existed. And I'm going to date myself. I've been out of college a while. But I went to liberal arts school. I went to Barnard, and we did not have PR.
Yeah.
I studied psychology.
Oh, wow.
And when I left school, my family told me I had to get a job. And I interviewed at Shanwick International at the time, way before it was Weber Shandwick, and Simon and Schuster. Thought I could go into book
Mm,
publishing.
yeah.
And I went and had this great interview with this amazing former stockbroker who was heading up corporate communications, corporate practice for Shamwick International at the time when they were on Park Avenue South before they even became the force they are.
Right.
And I had an amazing conversation with her. And I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. It blended two things I loved. It blended psychology and it blended math. And I
Hmm.
love finance. And so, You ask what keeps me fueled. I love what I do. It doesn't feel like work. And I think I'm one of those people that's lucky enough that it doesn't feel like work. And every day, because I have a very diverse portfolio of clients, every day I have a different challenge I'm facing. And I don't know what the day is going to bring. Right now we're heading towards the holiday and I'm hoping
Yeah.
there'll be less things to bring, but right now
Right.
it doesn't seem like it's slowing down. But no, I keep very I just love what I do, and I think I'm very lucky that I get to do it.
Well, and I was going to say, and I think we see in the projects and the work that you have done that you love what you do, and we see that in how things have just come to full fruition for all of us to just view and your clients. What moment in your early career? Because I always love to go back because a lot of people, we talk about the right now and everything is all rose-colored glasses and it's beautiful things, right? But what moment in your early career kind of first made you say communication is where I can create a real change?
I mean, it goes back to what I was just chatting about with, this woman, Diane Perry, this former stockbroker who took a chance on me. And at the time, I was working with KPMG, Muriel Siebert, who was the first woman who had her seat on the floor of the stock exchange, and honestly, one other company that I will forget at this point. But I realized that we were inserting brands into conversations. We were creating conversations. We were maintaining industry positions. We were helping leaders who maybe weren't getting the credit they deserve to get the credit they deserve because we weren't buying an ad. We were earning it and we
Mm,
were hustling to get the story out. And I could see in like literally like those first couple of months the power of communications because I didn't know what it was.
yeah.
And then to see different things happen for a big brand like a KPMG or for an up and coming brand, I was like, wow, this is a really powerful tool that maybe people don't know fully exists. I
Mhm.
mean, obviously there are communication schools, they knew it existed, but
Right,
but
right.
I mean, I didn't. And I'm not going to say I fell into the job, but I fell into the job. Like I'm where I'm supposed to be. And I didn't even know what I was even applying for or searching for when I went in and had that first interview. But now, all these years later, I don't think I should be anywhere else. Like this is what I was supposed to do.
When I always talk about alignment, right? Everyone always wants to dream this bigger dream. And I think we always want to figure out, like, what is our next? What is our next? And where am I supposed to be? And to your
Mhm.
point, I was thinking about this media space that I'm in right now. I knew that I had a great voice. That I know, right? But then I was like, where do I go? Where does this space fit, right? And immediately I thought about just you and the work that you have done with yourself, with your team. Um, you said that companies prioritizing purpose, inclusion, and well-being will outperform those that don't. What indicators currently are you seeing?
I mean, it's funny, some during so many different moments that I've been running this agency, but also my prior times when I was at the big shops, you've seen certain brands that just do activity for PR sake. And then
Mm,
I believe that everything always comes out, the truth always comes
yeah,
out of it, like if you actually are true to who you are. And I really do believe that inclusion and purpose that actually helps you actually be more successful. The more inclusive of a team, the better the work. The better the work, the better impact you're going to have. The higher the stock price will go, the more product you're going to sell. I
mhm.
mean, I remember back in the day, the agency remain nameless. I was in a room with a bunch of guys and we were brainstorming a product for women. And I'm like, how do you even know what a woman wants? And
Exactly.
so, and that level of focusing on inclusion was a huge purpose of why I started, a huge reason, sorry, of why I started Sway. And then purpose, I mean, companies that do good, people want to buy from companies that do good. I feel like in a lot of ways we've lost a little bit of that, but I recently came back from a purpose-driven event that I went to, and I was in a room of people that just do this type of work, and it's not forgotten. It just needs to get more credit.
It really does. And I think, your company does a beautiful job at really highlighting the idea of inclusion, the idea of just being included uh,
Yes.
of all of the things, right? But I think, how do you advise other CEOs, right? Other CEOs who kind of fear taking a stance publicly on inclusion and just wanting to feel like, my team needs to see themselves within themselves.
Well, I say silence is deadly. I mean, I
Ooh.
think, when people, leaders
Yeah.
are not vocal, that's a message, right? So it's a message to internal employees because internal employees are your biggest brand ambassador. It's almost your first audience, right? And I always say the media that we work with, that's not our audience. That's the conduit to reach the audience, whether it be an employee or a customer or an investor. And
Yeah.
so, CEOs that don't take a stand, it's a missed opportunity. And,
Hmm.
brands that stay quiet, they forfeit visibility, narrative
Yeah.
control, long-term reputation, all of which, your competitors are doing it. And, PR can really be help in a way of helping people really see a brand in a different light, in a good way. But what I worry about is that when CEOs are quiet, they're letting someone else define their narrative.
Yeah.
And that's why I have a job, is because I think that, we get brought on to help leaders really own their narrative and really get out there and help them figure out what's going to resonate. Because a lot of the time, Jameer, it's like some of them come to us and they're like, I want to say this. And I'm like, okay, that's good, but that's a message you want to get out, but it's very self-promotional. We try
Yeah.
to give them a lens of this is what you want to say, but this is what folks want to hear and try to find that bridge. And I think that's been our sweet spot over the years.
DI, of course, has been interesting how it's such a hot topic, right? And it continues to be a hot topic. How has embedding DEI into your work kind of shaped client relationships and impact, though?
It just makes the work better. It makes the teams better. Like, I think the more you can bring teams together that think of things in a different way, it just makes the work better, as I said. And I think, as Sway, when I started Sway, that was a major part of why I created the business was, how can we put D&I at the center? And there's been a lot of conversation, a lot of development, especially under the new administration where, Jen, are you going to course correct? Are you going to change how you focus? And I've said, this is so fundamental to who we are and who
Yeah.
I am as a person. I don't feel I can change it. I mean, we just redid our website where I doubled down on everything that makes us who we are. And maybe we're not for everybody. And that's
Yeah.
okay. And
And
that's
that's
okay.
okay. Yeah, I've always said that. Listen, people find, and I've used intention and alignment a lot throughout this entire year, right? And intentionally, I want to make sure that there is a beautiful fit, right? That the puzzle kind of works together in a way. And, when you say PR must be clear, creative, and human,
Mhm.
and I love that though, right? What does that look like within practice?
I always laugh because if it takes you like, I don't know, 20 minutes to explain who you are, maybe you don't know who
You
you
don't
are.
know who you are. So
Simplicity.
true.
Simplicity is key. Simplicity should really anchor everything. And I believe, when folks try to tell me who they are or what they're doing, like I'll a lot of the time be like, but what does that mean? Because if you can't explain it to me, then how am I going to explain it to somebody else? People who talk in jargon or buzzwords, I mean, that's just, I mean, you don't want to, it's PR for PR's sake. And sometimes it's a little bit of lip service. So my biggest thing that I encourage our clients to think through is clear, creative communication and
Mm.
always be yourself. When I say human, like don't come across like when I read certain things, I'm like, oh my God, it sounds like a robot's talking. Like
Right.
you
Yeah.
need to have a certain level of authenticity. And sometimes people could say, like, I could be authentic to a fault because like when I'm all in, like I'm just
You're like, I'm
very
all in.
I'm real.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what though? I'd rather be that way than not. So when I say clear, creative, and human, it really is, if you are good at communication, you can just be very direct and
Yeah.
the simpler is just more memorable. I mean, I think when you have to just keep talking and talking and talking, it's like, what are you saying?
Yeah. A lot of air. And it's just like, what are we just filling up a room in a conversation? And I
Mhm.
think what's beautiful about who you are and what you've built, I've done a little research around you. And I think the beauty that people say that you are transparent and you're intentional about your work, about your practices, about what you believe in. But also, I think of additional PR teams and people that I have been in community with, right? How can other PR teams build stronger relationships with really a shrinking press kind of corporation, right? Because as things are adjusting and shifting, and we're having to silence in certain ways, right? How can we build a better communication companies?
I mean, I think my psychology degree, I think it plays a lot here. Like, I always think of what's the journalist going through? Like, it's not just about me and what I want to get out of it, but how many stories is a journalist working on? How much pressure are they under? Like, what do they need to make their job work? And I always try to think of giving them good stories versus just stories that my clients want to promote. And that's my job, is to make sure also that we're giving stories, we're pitching stories that actually folks want to hear, and
Yeah,
they're credible versus just like, what do they say? It's push and pull, like just like pushing news out. Like that's just,
yeah,
that doesn't work. I mean, I always talk about when I interview folks, it's like, I don't want you to go spam journalists. Like I want you to be
mm.
talking to people. Like I still believe in the power of the phone call or the text. Like that's how I
Hello,
do
hello.
that's how I do 90% of my job, is like through the phone and text. Like barely am I ever cold calling a journalist. I do a lot of it through my relationships,
Mm,
and you have to be proactive, thoughtful, intentional, and put yourself in the journalist's shoes. What story do they want to hear? Should I
yeah,
really be pitching this story today when this is happening in the world?
right.
A lot of the time, some PR people don't take that thoughtful approach.
Hmm. Well, and I think to your point, I've had a conversation a lot about AI and how we continue to humanize these conversations, these emails, all of the things. I think that's that moment that we'll never miss out on, is that human contact. And you said something that I thought was powerful. I go old school as well, and I hate to always say old school, but I'm still writing letters to people. I'm still sending handwritten notes, because those are the things that, first of all, a lot of the generation that doesn't even know how to write in cursive. But I am just like, how do I make sure that people understand who I am? I show up at events and making sure that I'm nice, I'm easy to work with, and people really just enjoy my company, but I also produce really good work, right?
Yeah.
How should agencies really embrace AI though, right? As AI is not going anywhere, it's going to continue to build. I've now taken additional classes. It's like I'm aging myself. It's fine. There's like a 40-year-old. If you're 40 and above, take these classes and you learn AI. And I was like, hello, sign me up. I'm here. But how can AI really, how are agencies embracing AI, right? But also, where should they kind of resist and kind of protect the creativity, right? Because we still want to make sure that that is still at the heartbeat.
I think AI can help us be more efficient. It can help us with like media monitoring or list development, or, if you want to draft something and put it into ChatGPT for to give you a point of view, or how you might make something sound a little better. Sure, sometimes. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
only use it really for, support, like to help with like a news monitoring, or helping to help the team use it to build a list. But I believe what we do, it's very consultative. I mean, most of our clients are C-suite, so AI is not going to tell me what I should tell them to help manage a crisis or how to help them sell a product.
yeah,
So you still need the human touch. And where AI can help us be more efficient, awesome. But the work product itself, that still that still takes the human touch. Like I'm in the middle now of planning for all of our clients. I wish AI could help me write all these decks I've had to put together, but it's literally been me with the team writing presentations for 2026 and 25 recaps for all of our clients. That has to be done as a person, because I
yeah.
have to analyze where we've been and
Mhm.
where we're going.
Oh, all of the things that I'm just like, Lord, take it off my back. There's also been a lot of chatter, right? There's been a lot of chatter around the news of Omnicom and PG merger and what it means for the industry, right? What are your predictions for the industry in 2026?
Well, I came from that world. I came from WPP. I came from like the time when all these big companies were just growing and growing and becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And these infrastructures that were created, it got us a little bit away from the work. That's part of the reason why I started my own agency, is because I wanted to be an extension of a client team, sitting in the trenches with a client, smaller, more agile teams that can actually respond to what's happening in the world and do it in a very specific, but also honestly quick way. And also have deliverables to show for what I did in a day. Like if I just put together agendas and meeting reports, like what am I doing? Like, is
What
that
am I?
actually going to make it into impact, right? I think, it's our industry is going through a reconfiguration. I
Mm,
think, one of my clients is the 4As, the Advertising Association of America. They represent all the agencies across the advertising world. And you're seeing different changes. I'm working very closely with their new CEO, Justin Thomas Copeland, around, all the things that he's advising to members, which are all the agencies in the industry right now of what's happening and how do we help them navigate. Taking
mm,
myself in that world, I think the rise of the independents is we saw this a couple years ago. I think, independent agencies are where it's at. Smaller is better. These bigger shops, it's very hard to be as agile as you need to be. You need to be flexible. You need to
yeah.
take risks. You need to also be able to respond to clients because things are changing so fast in this world right now. You can't really, be on the Titanic and slowly turning around the iceberg. You need to be able to go through the iceberg if you need to,
Yeah, you
right?
really do. You literally, people feel like you can just kind of offset. No, you gotta go
You
through it.
can't. You
You
can't.
can't.
You can't. And I
Yeah.
think, right now, there's a huge disruption happening in the advertising,
Mm,
marketing, PR world. And, it goes back to agencies with purpose, agencies that are authentic. And
yeah.
I honestly think independent, smaller shops is where it's going to be. I think we're going to see a lot more independent agencies like spring up because there aren't jobs to replace the jobs that are being lost. Like
Yeah.
it's not like when I left where there was another, I could have went to another agency or I could have went to a brand. Like at a certain point, there's no more jobs to take. You're either going to have to go to another industry or start your own.
Oh, yeah. I want to get into some questions because I know we have to get ready to wrap. But when people heard that you were going to be on the show and other PR, moguls like yourself, the questions really did roll in. First question comes from Nick, and Nick is out of Atlanta, Georgia. He says, "What is a mistake you see brands make repeatedly, even the smart ones?"
I think what I said earlier is brands that are not, they're not, they're quiet. Brands that are not,
Mhm.
they're putting the time and effort into building their reputation because reputation is earned. You cannot
Yeah,
buy your reputation. You could spend 20 years building a reputation. You make one mistake, you're done. So
that's it.
reputation is huge. And, I think it's for brands that get it, it's really exciting because,
Yeah.
it's like again, being with a like-minded client who gets it, it's awesome. But, I think we have an opportunity to continue to educate because some folks don't 100% get the power of earned because it really is an art, not a science.
It really is. No. Brittany out of Brooklyn, New York, she says, in the era of viral content and micro moments, what does it take to build a brand narrative that actually lasts? And I know you touched on a little bit of that as well, but yeah.
Well, that's funny. One of the things that one of my clients is
I love
Stanley.
how I love how you lit up there when we said that.
One of my clients is Stanley. So they had a major viral moment a year or two ago with the car fire that happened. That the Stanley Cups
Mhm.
survived a car fire with ice and the water still in it, and they exploded. And they got women all over the world started using the quencher. And so my job with them now is how do we help them, sustain their momentum and
Yeah.
sustain the fact that they've created they're part of the culture. But
Yeah.
how do we keep them to be part of the culture?
Yeah.
And it's how do you expand your audience? So I think it really applies to any brand, right? Like how do you expand your audience from your core audience, but how do you bring other audiences under the tent? So not just targeting women, now we're targeting men too. And how do we also go beyond being a US brand to a brand out in other markets? So how do you expand your geographic reach? And then how do you expand your product? And so
Yeah.
I think for me, how do you expand a viral moment is you've had a moment, it's awesome, but you have to have a strategy and you have to have a business imperative that's going to kind of take you to what's next. You have to take that because a lot of brands don't light fire like that. And
No.
how do you take that and sustain it? Well, you have to have a really solid business proposition and plan and
Mhm.
candidly leadership team that gets that.
I was gonna say, and that's the biggest piece, right? Starting at the top and just kind of really building through that. As we get ready to wrap our show, I recurated the show. This is now the fifth year, and you are episode 300 and God, 14, 15. This is crazy. I've been talking too much. But what I love about this last part is these are the questions that no one ever knows, right? It's called the therapy session. And it really just makes you think. It's for the people on your team that's going to listen to this, the people in the world that know you, and even family and friends. And it's the first thing that kind of comes to your mind, right?
Mhm.
What is one experience that changed your life's direction?
Hmm. All of life. Profound. Um, I think deciding to go to Barnard College because that was a stretch. So I came from a very humble Italian family in Queens, New York. Nobody went to an Ivy League school. And so all my friends were going to a certain school. I'm not going to name the
Mm,
school. It's a good school, but I didn't
good
go
school.
there.
Good school.
And I remember that my dad at the time said, if you get into Barnard, you're going. And that was scary because like no one I knew was going there. I was going to go live in Manhattan. Even though Queens and New York, Manhattan are close to each other, that
Still
was a,
different.
that was a mind-blowing thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And living away from home and it was the best thing I ever did. I've made some amazing friends. I played tennis at college. I joined this amazing sorority, but more importantly, like I saw the world differently and
Yeah.
it opened my eyes, which then opened my eyes to go take a shot to go interview at a PR agency, which I didn't even know what it was. And it's been a series of risk taking that I've taken over probably every 5 or 10 years. That's why I wasn't even afraid to start Sway because I'm like, what's the worst that's going to happen?
You're
It's
like,
going to
okay,
fail,
whatever.
whatever. But I
It'll
think
work,
that
it'll work. If it doesn't work, well, I tried. It's fine.
exactly, and that's what I think was really the biggest life-changing moment for me was part of me having the guts to go to Barnard.
What is something that you're proud or grateful for right now?
My support system.
Mm,
I have a great support system, great friends, great family. They keep it real. Jen, a little too much. Jen,
yeah.
not enough. So
Mm,
it's not always the easiest to tell me that, but
right.
I appreciate it.
um, when you think of your values, right? What values guide you the most in life right now?
Um, Being authentic, being real. I think like that to me is huge because so many people don't do what they say or say what they do.
How would your best friends describe you?
Um, my best friends, they would say smart, um, ambitious, funny, um, and fun.
Last two questions. How do you like to receive love or be supported when you are upset?
I need a big hug.
You are so mean. People don't like to
I
hug
need a big
strong
hug.
people. People do not. I'm like, y'all, I just need a hug. And someone hugged me the other day at an event, and they were like, that was a good hug. I'm like, because, girl, I needed it.
Well,
Oh,
somebody said to me the other day, like, "Can I hug you?" I was like, yeah,
yeah.
sure."
When you think of legacy, I love this question because you have accomplished a lot coming from Queens, a beautiful Italian family that have instilled so many values and love and all of the things, and the shoulders that you stand on, the sorority sisters and the families that you built throughout your college career, and now at the Sway Effect, and the fantastic team that continue to work with you because again, it is a full team effort.
Yes.
What legacy do you hope to leave behind in a global communication space?
I just want to have done good work and I want to help inspire the team that I work with to just to honestly be better than when I started working with them. I mean, I also am like a mentor at the marketing academy. Like I try to give my time back to just try to teach the skills that I was taught to others so that they could also do the craft in a good way. Because I've seen a lot of bad PR people. So I would like to make sure that people do PR in a good way.
In a good way. In a good way. Any last words, Jen, that you want to leave any of the people that follow you, your friends, family, fans, people that want to learn more about the Sway Effect, all of the things? Any last words?
Stay tuned and watch because we're only just beginning. Because I've had this moment the last couple of years where when we turned 5, we just turned 6. Now we're going to turn 7. Like
Oof.
I never thought the agency would be going where it is. And this year has been interesting because we have some new clients, but we also parted ways with some others, which is not always the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
But we did that because we no longer are aligned on our values and our missions. And I think that that's okay, especially 6, 7 years in. That's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's normal. But I'll just say, continue to watch this space because Sway's going to continue to do some kick-ass media relations work.
I love it. Where can the people find you? Where can the people reach out and all of the things?
You could reach out on my LinkedIn, and you could also reach out on my Instagram at Jen Risi.
I love it. Thank you so much. As we always say at iHeartRadio, Power 97.5 LA, iGlobal Media, stay positive, but stay creative. Until next time, everyone, thank you for tuning in.